Being given just a beautiful opportunity to be, because we are so caught up in the doing, and everything is just an external expression. And I think that this moment is really giving us that you have to just take a pause and be quiet, and then in that space of stillness, then so many things arise. And I feel like right now things are boiling down into necessity, like what's really necessary. I mean, even words sometimes, like, is it really necessary to talk so long? Meanwhile, you can really make it succinct and get your points across. And so even, I guess, we're realizing what are the essential activities that bring meaning and joy to our lives, like in the house, like now we're rediscovering cooking, baking, all these things that are super essential to living anyway, that we have just forgotten because everything has become so fast. Everything that you need will be delivered to you at the end of the day. And I think it's the waiting point of like living in that gap period, like, Coach Lea was explaining earlier, the fulfillment and waiting for that to rise, as she waits for what she's baking. And, for gardening, I'm like learning how to really be patient. You can't hurry a plant to grow into a seedling and like, come on, even if I sing to you every day. It's really that we have to just kind of go back into that, the slowness, slow life, and really be in that moment and not miss anything.
And this, right? Choosing what you want and what you don't want. And and you don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Yeah, that seems to be like a bunch. Yeah, like a bunch of my friends, we get together for Kahoot game nights. It's a lot of fun. And then some of the Kahoot, Kahoot.it. So go check that out, because then you can also take quizzes by yourself. It's a good learning tool for children. And yeah, I just discovered it. One of my friends turned me on to it. But one of the things I think at the outset of the quarantine was like, I don't know how long this is going to last, so we should all work out, and by the end of it, everybody's going to look amazing. that lasted all of 2 days, maybe.
Exactly. At least you got 2 days.
At least I got to 2 days. I mean, I bought up a clean pair of sneakers. I have my yoga mat. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, no, as you said, what do you really want to do? What do you want to do?
What do you really
What is
need?
going to make you happy? What do you need? So you're forced to ask yourself those questions. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I need something. I need as in need dough, or I need to watch a mixer spin and watch the egg whites rise. That's what I need to do. It's not exercise, as important as I know that might be to other people. It's like I need to do what my brain is telling me it needs right now. And sometimes it's just watching Netflix and binging on. I just binged this incredible show called Hollywood, where it gives us a glimpse into the golden age of Hollywood, or what could have been. So it's those things that are also inspiring to watch. And I found myself crying because it was like an Oscars night where people of color, people from the LGBT community were winning Oscars based solely on the merit of their work. I'm like, what an incredible vision it is, and what a world that would be if that was always the case. So it was just an interesting thing to get sucked into, and it was nice seeing friends up on TV also.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's having a different experience. Yeah, some people are killing it with their workouts. Some people are cooking all day. Some people are connecting more with their families. And the creative impulse is just taking a variety of manifestations, and there's no right or wrong way, but really to be able to use the silence to tune into, but what is it that I really want, and not get lost in the noise. Normally we're just so busy that we can't even hear ourselves.
And people are also becoming more and more comfortable with their emotions. I think every single person on the planet has had to really make friends with their emotions during this time. And I think that's such a priceless tool, because with the externals, it's so easy to not go there.
Connect, yeah.
Right? But now
that culture of busyness, always
Exactly.
doing, going, I have to be here, I have to do this appointment.
Yeah.
And it distracts you from really what's going on inside.
Yeah.
But now I think every single person in the world has had to really, like I said earlier, like themselves and befriend themselves and be okay with their emotions. Because a lot of people went through a lot of crying, a lot of pain, a lot of grief in the beginning of this quarantine. And now I'm noticing that more and more people are happier and more comfortable with them.
Finding more space, pockets of joy.
Yes.
Even in a challenge.
After the purging.
Yeah.
They had to go through the purging first.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just riding on.
As a creative, right when the quarantine happened, we were just opening a show. We were so excited. We had opening weekend. We had a nice.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right.
Boom.
Right.
I was so bummed. I was so
Right.
bummed that
And
happened,
I was
because
so
also
looking forward to seeing you.
Yes.
I know. Because also the show is so important for all of us, everyone involved in the production. It wasn't about just expression or creativity. The subject matter was about mental health.
Yeah.
So we were all on board. We were 100% there, but we were just so bummed when it happened. But of course, understandably, it's an interactive show. And of course, we couldn't touch anyone. So we're like, okay, how is this going to work?
Yeah.
But yeah, I went into a little bummed out week, the first week or two. And and then eventually your creativity will rise and find its way to express itself again. And for what's been healing for me is like spending a lot of time with my children, homeschooling. And what we do as a main activity is actually baking, like what you do, Lea. Because for some reason, I guess it's just that sense of like when you start something and then you see it once it comes out of the oven, it's that sense of completion.
Yes.
Right? Like, oh, today was worth it. Like, today is a good day. We made something. It's just about this idea of starting something from nothing. You put your hands
work.
into it. Yeah, you do the work, and then you come out and like, there's people that's going to enjoy it. Ta-da! Right?
Yeah.
So that's been a
moment.
that's been a nice like healing activity for our family as well.
Yeah. Maybe for a lot of people that work like in the corporate world, they don't have that sensation of creating something and seeing it to the end. It's like you're part of this big machine and you're doing a little bit of work, and then you don't really see that transformational process. So the gratification of that finished product isn't quite there. And coming into contact with like as simple as cooking a meal and then seeing that process like from start to finish, it just brings you to the state of connection like your normal work doesn't. So I'm getting a lot of questions from friends of thinking like, I don't know who I'm gonna be after this. I want to change careers, I want to change professions. And for me, that's fine. Like, that's a blessing. If you're really not happy, then check in.
And that's coming from your life purpose.
Yeah, and use this as an opportunity. I mean, you're getting a wake-up call. It's a good time to reevaluate.
I think we are all in the process of that creation. I think that in the beginning, even if we're given the pause, we're still on the doing. It just became it's done in the house, but everyone is still not surrendering to just the stillness. Yeah. And I think for me, to share my own process, which was very healing. In the beginning of the quarantine, I was thinking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm home. Is this really the place I want to be in for the quarantine? I was like frantically thinking, like, I want to be on an island. I want to be connected.
Yeah, me too.
And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this for the past 5 years of just really always constantly leaving Manila because I was feeling that it's becoming toxic and not sustainable to live here. And I want to be connected to nature. And so when that quarantine happened for me, I just really surrendered to that silence. And I think I took the whole entire month or more, over 40 days, to not engage in doing. I mean, it's not because I didn't want to offer anything to contribute, but I felt that that was a necessary time for me to go in. So I can feel creative again, so I can write again, because everything that I've been doing is just, I'm just trying to run away, to try to search for that freedom.
Wow.
And I think that moment, that I really let myself go there, and like what Lea and Lea are saying, to go through that purge. And after the purge is then now I'm feeling inspired. Now I feel like, because before they're like, hey, you should be putting out music right now. This is your moment. Like, put out music, this and that. But I didn't feel like it was authentic. And I said, it's not for me to actually cater to the outside world, but for me, this is my turn to do my own inner work. And then now, after emerging from that silence, then I feel now that I'm in the space where I can offer again. And so I started doing Soulful Sundays, because for me, I feel like I have everything I need. I have food, and, I've been blessed to be okay, even without having to kind of try to really earn some money. And so I feel like, in a way, I'm now in the space of giving and contributing again, because then I took that time to replenish.
That's beautiful.
T was telling me that you started this like barter project. Did I get it rightly? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So in the mid-April, I think, or the beginning of the April, no one, there's no economy, no one's making money, and you don't want to be the jerk to like, okay, I'm selling this for this much price. Well, no one is really going to buy anything. So I said, I'm going to get my friends together and start this private group of people that I think are going to be open to it. So it's called Barter and Trading. So I was posting like, okay, I'm trading, like I have few bottles of wine here. I'm more than happy to trade it for like an ensaymada box, or anyone baking brownies right now. Like, you can take it and then we can exchange. And, people are, wanting to exchange seeds. It's just without having to put out money.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's nice.
That's also a manifestation of the creative impulse, finding different ways to adapt to how commerce is evolving at the moment. So yeah, beautiful, Lee. So much creativity coming through for you.
I think we're just also, as a collective humanity, we're just also reimagining who we are and what's important in our life and what do we want to see. I think for me, creation is really imagining. It really starts from that. And what is the kind of world we want to imagine, and how we imagine ourselves to go back into that workspace, and what's the environment of workspace we want to be in. I think we're moving into quality now, quality over the quantity of things we're doing.
Yeah, true.
I believe in that as well.
Gotten so lost in just like the barrage of stuff that it's like, this doesn't even make sense anymore.
Yeah.
Really
but it's also so inspiring to see that people who are very creative, right? They've used their social media platforms to express, but also to help fundraise and bring awareness to certain causes, which I thought was so beautiful. And that big one that you were a part of, Lea, also was the Musikahan.
Bayanihan Musikahan.
Bayanihan Musikahan, yes.
It was an initiative that was started by Ryan Cayabyab. No, I got to introduce him properly. National artist.
There you go.
Ryan Cayabyab and Trina Belamide, who's one of our more prolific songwriters here. I think when the idea started, there was a little bit of skepticism, even on the part of Trina, where it's like, will people even be tuning in? Will people even want to listen to these artists? Will anybody be interested? And the fundraise targets were conservative. So it's like, will anybody want to contribute to total 5 million? And then some of the people who had already been experienced in fundraising were like, no, 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 we're used to being able to raise 15 million for something like this. And she was she was skeptical, and rightfully so, because it's a time, I think, when people want to hold on to whatever resources they have. It's a survival instinct, no?
Yeah.
And then fast forward to when we finished the first season, because a second season I think is ongoing, more than 67 million pesos was raised.
Amazing.
It's ridiculous. And it's
Wow.
generosity from people here in the
Amazing.
Philippines, people in the United States. It was going to organizations that were helping the more vulnerable members of society, so trying to get food towards those who are, who would not be able to take care of themselves. And then there was enough left over also for the Artists Welfare Project, helping a lot of freelance artists that have lost work during this pandemic. I think also providing or helping to provide PPEs for frontliners in hospitals. So I think with the front, it was like so many creative people just coming together, wanting to just wanting to share their music, wanting to just find an outlet. That was the thing. And I think for like Rachel Herodias, who's one of our most amazing classical singers, she and I did ours not back to back, but on the same night. So I watched hers before I did mine last April. And she was finding herself getting so caught, just getting all choked up and very emotional, because she was saying that for how many weeks there was no outlet for her to sing. There was no channel for her creativity to come out because everything had been shut down. I think a lot of artists were feeling that. I know I was feeling that. I had a lot of stuff scheduled. I had a tour scheduled in the United States, and all of a sudden that was taken away, understandably so. So when I did mine, I felt vulnerable, because it was like, oh my God, all of a sudden I get to sing again, I get to entertain, and I get to help people. And it was, I just found myself getting all choked up, because it's like, oh my God, now I have this way of being able to just be an artist again. And it's one of those things that's integral to my own health, my own mental and physical health. And someone said to me that when I sing, there's a healing property to it. So I take that quite seriously, that when I do sing, it's like, if I say I'm in the run of a Broadway show, and it's a long run, and I'm still kind of sick when I go back, but on the way to healing, I find that by the time I get home after the show, it's like, oh my God, I feel so much better, like physically, like something happens, like there's a mind-body connection that I'm not always conscious of, but I know it's there. And it's just weird. And then I go into work the next day, and then I just feel better again. And it's so when I say to somebody, just sing. I don't care how out of tune you are. There's something about it that's there's something about it that's
singing. I'm gonna sing tomorrow. I'm gonna just be a singer.
Sarah, tell Leah what you were telling me.
It's like
Singing is healing.
Singing is healing. There's something healing about it, I guess, when it's because it's like it's your emotions, your voice, your emotion, everything just coming into, it's coming into combination. And then when you finally release it, there's just something that happens.
Like a shift.
And I'm not always able to put into words what happens, but when I start singing, I just feel so much better. Not just my livelihood, it's also my way of expression. It's my way of healing. It's I just everything, just like whatever is going on in my brain, if it's going crazy, everything just calms down. Really
you're
quick.
In the zone. You're in the flow.
And it just I'm able to focus really well.
So how do we get people to get to that spot that you're in, to be to have that sense of aliveness, that connection to self, and sharing your energy and healing other people? Like, amazing. If everybody could live like that. Like,
I think I think artists in general, and it doesn't matter the kind of art that you create. I think artists kind of have this just way of tapping into your soul, because that's what you're expressing. I mean, any actor, singer, a dancer, it's like when you see the really, really amazing ones, it's almost like there is a connection to heaven.
Yeah.
And it's beyond. It's like like people like Jed Madela, Gary Valenciano, I'm like, how are they doing this? It's like they're not human. And it's almost like there's something bigger than them that takes over when they
That's what I think when I listen to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you have to, but you have to watch Lee's blind audition. It's not the first song; it's the second song. That was the one that I'm like, the second song she sang. She sang, I think, Angel, Sarah McLachlan, and then like the whole studio,
sample.
The whole studio went silent. It was like, oh my God, it's that moment when you realize that there's something special in front of you, and I still can't forget it. It's just one of those unforgettable moments on all the seasons.
We have to hear some of it now. How can you make us beat in like this?
No, you have. It's on YouTube. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, or it's on the Voice Facebook. But it's definitely been preserved. It's a moment that I cannot be replicated. You have to go and see it. It's just. But I remember just being in that studio going, oh my God, my jaw hit the floor. It was just like that. It was like that. But yeah, it's almost like there's an artist almost has this connection to something divine, almost to something that it's just seems otherworldly.
Yeah.
And people need to, I think, tap into an artistic outlet, whatever that might be, whether it's painting or even baking. Baking is an art.
Yeah.
There are people who are just masters at what they do because it's like they're in touch with something in them that tells them this is how it needs to be done. And it's it's like when you put it in your mouth finally, it's like, oh my gosh, there's something otherworldly about this. So I think everyone needs to find some sort of outlet to be in touch with that aliveness again, whatever that might be. And I think and maybe this quarantine is forcing everyone to go through that.
And it can take the form of, I mean, not everyone is artistic. It can take the form of creating a new business. It can take the form of an advocacy, supporting a human rights cause. There's so many ways that it can flower into. But I really love what you said about it's almost like you're allowing yourself to be that instrument of allowing that divine energy to flow through you. And basically you have to get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like you have to get out of your
is.
own way.
Yeah, it's like we have so much mental poop running through our brain that's stopping us from actually becoming that instrument where we feel that divine pulse and that sense of aliveness. And as soon as we clear all that gunk from our mind, and we're forced to do it now because we're pretty much in silence. Then you can start to see all this juiciness start flowing out. So maybe we need to stay here a bit more. What do you think?
That's totally fine.
It'll get more juicy as we're here.
I love the metaphor of when we think of creativity or just breathing that inspiration from the divine or the creator, however you want to name that essence that has no name. And breathing that in and letting it breathe you at the same time, and being through you. We are all so uniquely expressing our creativity that this expression has so many different qualities that only myself, Miss Lea, and Sarah and T, only you can express to the world. And I think this moment is really that invitation to create from a space of, what gives meaning to your life, what gives joy to your life. And I love that breath comes from the word inspira, like inspiration, means breath, and spirit means to take that breath. And when we know that when we take that deep breath, it's like we're getting a big chunk of inspiration, and then we're able to
aliveness.
And I think that's why singing is such a healing activity, because naturally when we sing, our breath normalizes. We're breathing longer, we're exhaling longer. And when we understand that the mind is tied to the breath, the slower the breath becomes, the slower the chattering of the mind as well, and you just be in the zone. And I think when the instrument is super centered and in the zone, then that essence, which is the divine, can be expressed, unaltered without it being an ego place, but rather just in service.
Yes. Yeah. The purity.
I feel like the quality of art is so much better when you don't come from ego, and if you come from service, as a place, like you said, you channel it, like it comes through you and out. Like you're really meant to serve. Like I just feel like inherently that's the energy of creativity, when you bring it out into the world. I have a question for Miss Lea. Lea Bernardo.
Okay.
Here we go.
I have to. Lea.
I think you have to use the surnames for all of us.
My question is for those who have been caught up in this culture of busyness, right? Or they work in a corporate job, or their day-to-day is full of just mundane things that is not really pulling at their heartstrings. What would be your advice? What would be the beginning steps to how someone can discover that creative energy within them?
First of all, it's stillness. And I'm going to take from what Lee just mentioned. It's really in the breath. And as yoga teachers, you guys know this all too well, that it's you need to really have that place where you can be silent and have that stillness. And it's the breath that's the fastest way to get there. I'll normally start you off with gratitude, because that's what's going to put your brain into the present tense, and that will get rid of the anxiety or any form of sadness. And then from gratitude, we focus on the breath. And when you start focusing on the breath, then you'll find that the brain slows down. And that whole busyness, because really the busyness is I call it the glamorization of busy, because people tend to glamorize busyness, but what it is in fact evading what's going on in your space. And so even when we do, like I do corporate workshops on emotional well-being and all of that, we really work with the companies to provide a space like a meditation area, or just a break space where they can be in their quietness, in their stillness, where they can just go and take a time out and just breathe. Because when you're breathing, you're already meditating. And so when you focus on your breath, then it slows the brain down, and then you can be within. And that within is in fact your divinity, your God self, your essence. And it's only then that your authenticity can come out. And it's only when you come from that really true creativity happens. So focus on the breath. But to get to the breath, say thank you for 3 things first, just to slow down, slowly slow it down. Because if you go immediately into the breath, you'll find that there'll be resistance as well.
So thank you.
Say 3.
Pause. Breathe.
And then breathe.
Come into your authenticity.
Yeah. And the breath work that I teach is called 4-7-8. So you inhale 4 through the nose, and then you hold it for 7, and then you exhale slowly through the mouth. And this is like a tranquilizing breath that will bring down everything. But if you can't do that because you're anxious, do focused breath first, and then do the 4-7-8, because you'll find that when you breathe the 4-7-8 breath work, it can even relieve you of anxiety. So if you wake up with anxiety in the middle of the night, for instance, and this is a great breath work to do, or you're about to do a presentation, you're about to enter a meeting, do 5 rounds of the 4-7-8, or like in Lee and Lea's case, when you're about to perform, do the 4-7-8 breath work. And it really balances everything.
Beautiful. So after we come to that state of realizing ourselves and our authenticity, we still gotta do the work, right?
Absolutely. You cannot not do the work.
Yeah. How can we inspire people to kind of stay on track and
Oh, you know what? When people start doing things that bring them joy, the brain will automatically act
want
that
more joy?
way. Exactly, because the brain is programmed or wired or anatomically designed to choose joy over pain.
Yeah.
And I think people just sort of got caught up with, we have to be this, we're obliged to do that, or we need to behave a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think now people are really using the power of choice, which to me is the most powerful force in the universe, because you can choose love or you could choose fear, right? But the choice is still yours.
Yeah.
And what people are realizing now is that they have the power to choose the life they want, the state of being they want to be in, what they choose to watch, what they choose to eat, what they choose to indulge in,
Consume, yeah.
and what they choose to consume. Like
Yeah.
people are buying wiser, behaving in a way that really supports them. So really, it's so hard to say that this time has not been a good time, because really it's difficult. But look at the results. The results have been really people coming into themselves, and that's a beautiful thing. That's always a beautiful thing.
I always tell people, or I said it, I did a few posts ago where it's like, I'm looking forward to meeting you again after this is all over. Because I feel like we've all changed so much
Exactly.
just within ourselves, and to meet someone from that space of openness and with this energy still in mind, it's like, I'm looking forward to learning about you all over again. Even though you've known someone for 20 years, there's something new.
I love that. I super love that. That's so nice.
We're looking forward to Lea's baking show, which is
I
coming
know,
sometime.
Coming this
We're gonna
fall.
Master Chef Lea Salonga
That's not
recreating
happening.
herself.
The Voice Baking Edition.
No,
Oh my God, that's
There's this
amazing.
Facebook group that I recently got pulled into. I think one of my theater actor friends pulled me into it. And it's basically a group of people who are up late at night sharing what they're eating for midnight snacks. And so people are sharing what they're making, what they're baking, what they're cooking. There's a lot of video up on there. And with the step by step on how this dish came to be. So people are getting creative even with the plating, because they're showing off to other people what they're consuming. So it's been, there's like 3D photos of somebody holding a bag of chips or something, and it's just something like, I like how you're flexing your creative energies, even if you're just showing off. It's like it's literally a bag of chips and a soda, but it's the lighting. It's like,
people are learning how to be photographers and a whole bunch of skills, video editors,
I
and
coming out with their
even
own
online.
shows.
it's funny because and there's no judgment. That's the nice thing about it. There's no one coming after you, judging you for posting a food photograph. It's like people are just getting creative with what they might have. So that's one, which is really cute, and then people are just sharing the fact that they have a little bit of chocolate and maybe a cup of tea, but everybody's doing this together, and there's no judgment. It doesn't matter what you post. Everyone's just happy you're making something, and everyone is sharing in the experience. It's really, really sweet. It's been really sweet. And some of the photos are crazy amazing. Like unbelievable home cooking that's coming out of this. It's just been it's funny, and it's a lot of fun.
Aw.
It's great that we're able to share this creativity with each other too. I mean, it would be different if we didn't have all this technology that can we just be cooking by ourselves, and part of the joy is also being able to share it with other
True.
people. That sense
Yeah.
of aliveness also comes, like when you're singing. I'm sure you feel great, that divine impulse when you're singing on your own, but then to sing in front of a crowd of like thousands just has another vibrational element to it.
There's a lot of
altogether.
adrenaline.
Mm.
There's a whole other level
Yeah.
of singing in front of people, because then there's this little thing that creeps into your mind of, I'm sure there's somebody in this audience that's waiting for me to mess up. There's also but I don't mess up very often, so that's okay.
That's a Lea
So
thing.
so there is that. But I know that people came to the show because they wanted to have a shared experience.
Yeah.
People wanted to enjoy hearing me sing, hearing my voice, hearing the music, watching my brother conduct, because he's a show unto himself, especially when it's an upbeat number, because he starts dancing on the podium. So, and normally my sister-in-law is playing violin in the first violin section, so I'm surrounded also by
Wow.
love and family.
Nice.
Even while this is the job, this is the work, but it's such joyful work to have.
Mm.
And it's something I wish for everyone, even though I know it's not possible. I dated somebody a long time ago, and we were having this discussion about work and joy and that, and this was, I think, I was still in my 20s, and he said something to the effect of, yeah, but not everybody's going to have that. People are going to also be in drudge jobs and be unhappy and just work hard and have nothing to show for it. Yes, we're not dating anymore, because I mean, come on.
Mega.
Didn't work out.
So it's like, bye. No. Because I mean, you wish for for everybody to experience that level of joy somehow. I'm lucky that it happens to also be my livelihood, but I also know that not everyone will get to experience something like that. But everyone should have a joyful something, whatever that might be. Whether it's growing plants on Saturday and Sunday, even if you have your corporate job from Monday to Friday, or being able to play your guitar, or draw or paint or sketch. It's I wish for someone to find that kind of joy in their lives, because it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
when you have that kind of joy in your life.
Sense of
I
connection
think
to
there is
yourself.
there is a misconception about creativity. When we talk about creativity and expressing yourself artistically, that there is that judgment that it has something to do with music. You're either painting, you're either, do this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that creative activity that involves colors or talent. It's just when we put our heart into what we do. Like, I think this is a lot of the conversation that comes my way when people are in that dark night of the soul, when they're like, I hate my job. This is not my purpose. I'm not meant to be behind the thing. But I'm like, but you're a genius at it. I think the idea of awakening is like, oh my God, I'm going to quit my corporate job. It's not really the problem is not really the environment that you're working in, but it's the state of mind. You can show up to work and just treat it as work. Like, you're not identified by the work that you do, and you can do your creative other things outside of that.
True. I like that you brought that up, because it just reminded me of a time when I was like maybe 25 or 26. I was in LA. I've been doing yoga for several years. I loved yoga so much, and my teacher encouraged me to do a teacher training. And after I did the teacher training, and I was like, I'm going to be a yoga teacher. And I'm like in LA hustling auditions, right? I'm like young actor trying to get the next gig, like trying to hustle. And I was just, to be honest, I was burnt out. Like, I didn't like that energy of that part of the business. But that didn't mean, but at the time I didn't understand that. And then I said, and I spoke to her, and I was like, I think I'm going to become a yoga teacher. Like, I really want to be a yoga teacher, but I'm going to quit acting. And she was like, no. She was like, you don't quit acting, because that's your dharma. She said you could still be something. Like if you still want to offer yoga or meditation as a service, you can still do that. There's still room for that. But if you are a creative person, if you quit or cut off that lifeline of creativity, that's going to affect your well-being. That's going to affect you mentally if you're not allowed to pursue or express or study or, get into that creative space. So it's really important that, yes, you could be, passionate about something, but then your profession is something else. And that's completely okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And even within your profession, you can be creative and have joy. I mean, I talked to a banker, my banker who handles some of my money. And I talked to him about this kind of joy that I've been speaking to all of you about. And he says, I feel that exact same way about numbers. And
there you go.
Right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that exact same way. I can look at these numbers all day. And
He feels alive.
He had this look of absolute happiness, just this serenity come over him. Like, I cannot relate to you at all. But just how he was expressing his own creativity with watching stock numbers and watching figures and just complete passion and joy and happiness over things like that. Like,
I love
creativity manifests in very different ways, and that was how he manifested his own. And so I trust him because he's passionate about what he does. It's not drudge work for him.
I love that. Yeah.
Amazing how this whole pandemic is making some of us ill, but at the same time it's healing us. And that creativity is what's coming out of the healing process. So elegantly ironic. I don't know, like what how this divinely orchestrated, how everything was put together. But yeah, such a potent time to just reflect on what our life purpose is, what makes us feel alive, what sparks joy, what makes us happy, what makes us be authentic. Like, what a better time to be alive than now. My gosh, amazing.
And the question I tell people to ask themselves is, how are you creating heaven on your earth today?
Oh, beautiful.
Nice.
Yes.
So it's to each his own, because no two people are alike. And so when you create your own heaven on earth just for today, you're actually co-creating your reality.
Yes. That's a really beautiful question to leave our audience with, and to wrap up this session. How are you creating heaven on earth? We have a lot of questions actually on the Facebook group, a lot of comments. I want to learn how to breathe. The brain chooses happiness over pain. Motivational Monday night with significant women. We'll attend to all of your questions on the Facebook page. Thank you everyone for listening and sharing the conversation. And let's keep this going, even if we're not together talking on a Zoom meeting. Keep this this sense of connection and tuning into our sense of aliveness all day, every day.
Thank you so much for your time, ladies. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
For having us. Thank you.
Really,
so
really
much for
appreciate
having us.
it. And our guests, thank you so much for joining us as well. We could see you're really enjoying this conversation. Do share it with your friends. Let them know that we're here. You can find us on Facebook, and we're here for the next 2 more weeks. Mondays, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. here on Metro.style. So thank you again for joining us.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.